Hello, my name is Preva Doyle, and I'm a licensed massage therapist at Vital Touch Wellness. Today I'll be showing you self-massage with a tennis ball on the glutes and hamstrings. For this practice, you'll need space on the floor. You'll need a tennis ball or a ball of similar size and density to a tennis ball. And also, if you have a mat, an exercise mat or a yoga mat, it'd be beneficial to have one of those to provide some extra cushion while working on the ground. Please know that this video is not intended to provide or be a substitute for medical or psychological advice. So if you have any health issues, please get approval from your doctor first before participating in this practice. So again, make sure you have a tennis ball and preferably also a mat to work on. I'm just going to give you some info before we get started on what we're going to do. So we're going to work on the glutes and the hamstrings. We're going to use 3 different types of techniques on them, some of which you should be familiar with because I've used them in some of my other self-massage videos. We're going to do cross fiber friction, which is working across the muscle fibers to help break up adhesions and tension and to get the muscle fibers back to their original length. We're going to do stripping, which instead of going across the muscle fibers, will be going in the same direction as the muscle fibers. That helps to lengthen them, relax them, and also to help break up adhesions as well. And then we'll do a little bit of trigger point work, which we've done before as well, which a trigger point is a hypersensitive spot on a band of tight muscle that can sometimes cause a referred pain or sensation. So during this practice, as always, you want to work as gently or as firmly as is comfortable for you. You don't want to create any pain, and you also don't want to have any tingling or numbness. So being careful with working on the glutes and hamstrings, and if you have any tingling or numbness, please ease up or move to a different spot. Sometimes our glute muscles can be so tight that they trap the sciatic nerve. So we have to be careful not to press on the sciatic nerve and cause any nerve sensations in the glute and down the leg. So just be aware of that. And if you're feeling any numbness or tingling in the glute or leg, like I said, move to a different spot or ease up on the pressure. So we're going to work on the gluteus maximus, which is the main large muscle in the glutes, which attaches to the ilium, the hip bone, and over to the femur, the leg bone. We're going to work on the gluteus medius, which is smaller than the gluteus maximus and is closer to the outside of the hip. And that also attaches on the ilium, the hip bone, and over to the greater trochanter on the top of the femur, the leg bone. We'll also work on the gluteus minimus, which we may be working at the same time as the medius because the gluteus minimus lies under the gluteus medius and also attaches on the ilium and over to the greater trochanter on the top of the femur, the leg bone. We may also hit the piriformis muscle, which I already mentioned. Sometimes the piriformis muscle can press on the sciatic nerve and cause sciatic nerve pain. The piriformis is deeper than those muscles, and the piriformis attaches to the sacrum and then over to the top of the leg bone, the greater trochanter. Then on the hamstrings, there are 3 hamstrings: the biceps femoris, semitendinosus, and semimembranosus. The biceps femoris is the most lateral, so it's closer to the outside of the thigh, The semitendinosus is more medial, a little bit closer in towards the inside. And the semimembranosus is kind of underneath the semitendinosus. And they all attach on the ischial tuberosity, which is on the pelvis. It's close to the glutes, so you may feel a little bit of crossover there when we're working on the bottom of the glutes and the top of the thigh. And those 3 hamstrings come down and attach around the side of the knee and down to the tibia on the lower leg and the fibula on the lower leg. So let's go ahead and get started. There's all your background info. So get your tennis ball. I'm going to adjust the camera here so you can see the work I'll be doing. All right, so we're going to start with the glutes. We can start with your right side. So take the ball, place it under the glute. You want it to be right in the middle of the meat of the glute. Move over. So use your hands. I like to use fists to hold my body up rather than flat palms, but whatever you prefer. If you prefer flat palms, you can have them facing in towards your body or out. I'm going to start using fists because that works best for me. So you want to use the strength of your arms and shoulders and your other leg to help support you. You don't want to put all your weight onto the tennis ball. That might cause some pain. If it's not painful for you and it feels good, that's okay to use that much pressure, but you may want to start off with less. So use that other foot, use those hands or fists to help support the body. And your right leg should be loose and relaxed. You can move kind of up and down. You may feel some of those bones under there, so do not work on the bones. Coming to the side of the hip, you can work around that greater trochanter, or around where the hip bone comes in. Sorry, the greater trochanter is more on the side. And then if you come in a little bit more medial, you'll start to hit your sacrum. So you don't want to work on the sacrum. You want to be in the meat of the glute muscles. So being aware of those bones, and then if you come down lower, you will feel that ischial tuberosity that we mentioned where the hamstrings come and attach on. So be aware of that as well. You don't want to work right on top of the ischial tuberosity. So working in between the sacrum, top of the hip, and the ischial tuberosity. So you can work up and down, cross those muscle fibers, maybe working a little diagonal. Again, using your arms and shoulders and that other leg. This is the cross fiber friction. All right, so now we'll do the stripping. So you can start out closer to the side of the hip and then work over towards the sacrum. So start out closer to the hip, give it a little bit of pressure and work in towards the sacrum. And then we can come maybe a little bit higher, starting again out towards the hip and working over towards the sacrum, coming out towards the hip, working over towards the sacrum. So that's the stripping. And then we'll come down a little bit lower, starting out towards the hip, working over towards the sacrum, starting out towards the hip, working over towards the sacrum. Great. Now my arms and shoulders are tired. Yours may be too. So if you need to give yourself a little bit of a break, do some shoulder rolls, kind of shake it out a bit, that's okay. This can take a lot of effort and strength to do. All right, so now we're gonna do the trigger point work. So bring the tennis ball back under the glute, use that other leg and those arms and hands to support you. And you can move around up and down, back and forth like we were, trying to find a spot that feels a little more tender that may cause a referred sensation, but again, no tingling, no numbness. So a referred sensation that is not tingling or numbness. To be honest, I'm not really finding any. I have some tender spots, but I'm not finding anything that really feels like a trigger point. Oh, actually, maybe now I did. Higher up on the glute there. All right, so once you find a spot that feels a little more sensitive, that maybe causes a referred sensation, you can just press and hold. And again, you don't want to press too hard. You want to be able to relax through it and not have pain. The longer you hold it, the more pressure you may be able to give. So you may be able to release some of that work from the other leg and release some of that work from the arms and shoulders to allow your body weight to really press in on that trigger point and help it to keep releasing. Once it's softened quite a bit or that referred sensation goes away, the trigger point has been released. So mine feels a lot softer now, so I'm gonna let that go. All right, so we can come to the other glute now, your left glute. Oops. And do the same thing. So we're gonna do the cross fiber friction, the stripping, and the trigger point work. So put the tennis ball under your glute, in the meat of it, using your right leg with a bent knee, using that to help support you, using your hands, fists, arms to support you. Working up and down on the glute, doing that cross fiber friction, keeping that left leg kind of relaxed, using the effort of the arms, the shoulders, and the other leg to move. Again, working in between the sacrum, the ischial tuberosity, and the greater trochanter, not pressing directly on any of those bones. Just working in on the musculature. I'm gonna move over a little bit. All right, great. Now that we've done that cross fiber friction, we can do the stripping. And now I need a little bit of a break with my arms again. So feel free to take a break if you need one. So the stripping, we will go from like the greater trochanter over towards the sacrum. So that's the direction of most of those glute muscle fibers. So when we do the stripping, we go in the direction of the muscle fiber. So go ahead and start out towards that side of the hip, out towards that greater trochanter, but not pressing directly on the bone, just right in from it. And then coming over towards the sacrum. And then releasing that pressure, coming back towards the side, right inside that greater trochanter, pressing in, allowing your body weight to sink in, and coming over towards the sacrum. All right, releasing that pressure, maybe coming up higher this time, and coming over towards the sacrum. Releasing pressure, coming back over to the hip, and pressing over towards the sacrum. And then coming lower. Starting out by the hip bone, by that greater trochanter, and coming in towards the sacrum. Releasing the pressure, coming out towards the greater trochanter, right in from it, pressing in, coming in towards that sacrum, and letting go. All right, so that was the stripping. Now we'll do the trigger point work on that left glute. So again, placing the ball under the glute, working back and forth, up and down, trying to find a spot that maybe feels a little more tender, that maybe causes a referred sensation, but no tingling and no numbness. All right, I found mine already. So you can just let your body relax on the ball, using as much or as little pressure as is comfortable for you. And the longer you hold it, the more pressure you may be able to give. Feeling the softening of the glute muscle. If you had a referred sensation, that should be lessening. Just feeling the muscles melt onto the tennis ball. Once you feel it's fully softened, fully released, fully let go of the referred sensation, you can take the ball out. All right, so now we're gonna do the hamstrings. So we'll come back to your right leg, place that ball under the hamstrings. We're going to work basically from here to here. We don't want to work close to the back of the knee, and we probably don't want to work too high up either, because that's where the tendon is. We want to work in the meat of the muscle of those 3 hamstrings. So we're going to work on the back of the thigh, a few inches above the knee to a few inches below that ischial tuberosity. So place the ball down. Let your leg sink into it. This one might be a little bit easier than the glutes. And we're gonna start to work side to side, the cross fiber friction. Starting maybe a little higher and then coming down a little lower. So either moving your body or moving the ball, coming down a little bit lower. Still trying to have that right leg being somewhat relaxed that the tennis ball is working on, and using the strength of the rest of your body. Moving it down a little bit lower, but again, not close to the back of the knee. Do not want to work the back of the knee. That is an area that is dangerous to work deeply on. All right, so we did some cross fiber friction on the hamstrings, a little higher, in the middle, a little lower. Now we'll do the stripping. So, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm trying to get set up right for this. So place the tennis ball under the hamstrings, close to the top of the hamstrings, but not up all the way to the ischial tuberosity. And then we're going to slide up. And again, not going in the back of the knee, being a few inches away from it, because this is a dangerous zone to work deeply on. So stopping a few inches above the back of the knee. And then coming back, up, back down, back up, back down. Now maybe coming in a little more medially. So instead of working the outside of the thigh and hamstrings, coming in a little bit closer to the inner thigh, but not the inner thigh. Still on the back of the thigh, just a little bit closer towards the inner thigh. And again, coming up and down there. Trying to let that leg stay relaxed as the tennis ball is massaging it. And maybe coming in a teeny bit more. Still on the back of the thigh, but this time really close to the inner thigh. Back and forth, stopping a few inches above the back of the knee, coming up close to the back of the glutes, but not all the way up to the glutes. Great. All right, now we can try to find a trigger point in there. So, I think I found one already. So find a tender, tight spot in the hamstrings and just let your body melt on top of that ball. You don't necessarily have to use your arms to support you for this one. You can lean forward, just letting all the tissue kind of melt, relax, using as much or as little pressure as is comfortable for you. Letting the pressure of that tennis ball help to release that trigger point, help to release any referred sensation you may have. Help to release the tightness right there. And you should feel it softening. You should feel a decrease in sensitivity. And when it feels like it's released, you can take it out and come to your left hamstrings. All right, so same thing, we're gonna do the cross fiber friction. So starting a little higher on the hamstrings, but not all the way up to that base of the glute. Using your right leg and your arms, going back and forth, cross fiber friction. Now coming a little bit lower in the middle of the hamstrings and doing the cross fiber friction. Now coming a little bit lower, but still a few inches above the back of the knee. You do not want to work the back of the knee. You want to be above it in the meat of the muscle. Coming back and forth. Great, now we'll do the stripping. So we'll be going up and down. Again, not coming all the way up to that ischial tuberosity, not going all the way down to the back of the knee. Working in between those 2 points. Up and down. More the outside of the back of the thigh. Now coming more to the middle of the back of the thigh. And maybe coming a little bit more medial, closer to the inner thigh, but still on the back of the thigh. Great. And now we'll do the trigger point work. So, finding that tight, sensitive spot on that hamstring. Maybe you feel a referred sensation with it. Maybe it just feels really tight and stuck in that spot. So finding that spot and allowing your body weight to press into the tennis ball and allow the pressure of that tennis ball to help release that trigger point in the hamstring muscle. And the longer you hold it, the more release you should feel, the less sensitivity you should feel, the more relaxed the muscle should feel. Great, mine feels released. Whenever it feels released to you, you can take it out. All right, well that was fun. I hope you all enjoyed that practice. This can be great for athletes. It can be great for people that are sitting at a desk for a long time. It can be great for people that have low back pain. Sometimes the tightness in the glutes and hamstrings can contribute to low back pain. So this practice is really beneficial for a lot of things. So please continue to check out our videos, and please like them and share them if you feel obliged. We also would love any comments you have. Please feel free to share them. And if you have any requests for our videos, let us know. So thank you for being with me today for this fun self-massage practice with a tennis ball. And please continue to take care, and I will see you guys again soon. All right, bye-bye.